Stay my blade from the flesh of the innocent. Hide in plain sight. Never compromise the Assassin Brotherhood. These are the tenets of the Creed, the principles I used to live by. I was a young man then. The 7 Years' War was about to begin. I could not have imagined what the future had in store for me, nor the cost I would choose to bear. My name is Shay Patrick Cormac. This is my story.
Hello once again, players of good video games. My name is Nick Pell, and this is my review of Assassin's Creed Rogue. This is the presumably last game that will be on the Xbox 360 and PS3. This is also the final installment in the North American trilogy, which began with Assassin's Creed 3, followed up by Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag, and now is in Rogue. Now, the definite high part of this game is its story, because it has ties to both Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed 4, and it really brings those elements in very, very neatly. Our main protagonist is a guy named Shay Conrad. He begins the game with the Assassins as an assassin. He's kind of in the protege, trainee type of stage when we meet him, and then something happens which causes him to lose favor with the Assassins, and then he moves slowly towards the side of the Templars. And that is the main story of this game in its very basic form. As a whole, the story was something which I really found myself interested in and invested in, because I love stories that really tie together different entities, in this case Assassin's Creed 3 and 4, and then Unity in some capacities, which was a big surprise for me, because we see Adwale from Assassin's Creed 4, and then we see Achilles and Hatham from Assassin's Creed 3. We see these people and we see what they were doing after Black Flag and then before Assassin's Creed 3, and it's just really interesting. We see how important Shay was to the whole process which began, especially towards the end of the game is where it really comes into play, and the very ending of the game had me freaking out in a very good way as to me realizing the implications of what was happening towards the very end memory of the game. It is quite short though. It is only 6 sequences plus a glitched memory which you play as when you exit the Animus to go into the present day. Speaking of the present day, it is a bit better than Unity's present day, if anything. It's very similar to Black Flag in that you play as a nameless, faceless character in Abstergo who is living through the memories of Shay, and you do a lot of the same things. It's in the basically same office environment, and you have the option of hacking into computers and revealing secrets about the background of Abstergo and what they're doing, and that was something which I really enjoyed seeing in the game, because it gives a little insight into what is happening behind the scenes of this whole organization. In regards to graphics, the graphics, if you have played Black Flag, you know more or less what to expect. They are slightly more polished in this version, but it's not really all that noticeable. The graphics look basically the exact same as Black Flag's did, so it's really hard to notice anything new with that. The water looks pretty much the same, character models look the exact same, the present day stuff looks the exact same. So there's nothing really new with that. And then in regards to gameplay, again, it's very similar to Black Flag. The combat is done in the same standard way that's been done for the last 4 or 5 games, in that you counter and then you hit the attack button and then you can insta-kill people. So the combat I really found no difficulty with for the most part. I don't think I ever really died from combat. It's more just like I leapt too high off a building and killed myself more than anything. The ship fighting is also more or less the same. It does have a few new weapons that you can choose from and a few new strategies to do that, so that was kind of neat to see. But I don't really know how much more ship fighting we will see after this game. I mean, I would have liked to see a little bit newer of a take, but there's not really a whole lot they can do when this game takes place basically directly after the events of Black Flag, if not like 30 years after those events. There are some new collectibles to find, and there are old collectibles to find. There are viewpoints to find, there are Animus fragments to find, but there's also Viking swords which you can locate. There are Templar maps to find. There's just a bunch of stuff, but none of it is really given a huge incentive to go out and actually find it, which was something kind of not fun. There's a crafting system which is back, which I didn't really use at all because I didn't really see a point in doing it, and there wasn't really a need for any of the things that it provided. There's also an option to renovate different buildings and locations to create more of an income for you, just like with Unity and just like how some of the past Assassin's Creed games have been. This is a feature which I always enjoy seeing because it's a much easier way to get income for weapons and for just basic materials and items that you need. And then in terms of upgrading your ship, there's not really a need for that as well because I barely scratched the surface with most of my upgrades and I made it through more or less okay. As long as your ship is well stocked with ammo, you should be able to breeze through any ship battle, even towards the end of the game, with relative ease. There's one in the last sequence which took me a little while, but I did 1 or 2 upgrades and then I was able to just breeze through it. And then for major towns or cities which you come into contact with, such as Sleepy Hollow, that would have been a really cool thing to see some side missions included, just exploring Sleepy Hollow, or the legend behind it, or just in a bunch of these different big places which are important in the realms of the historical significance of the time period. I would have liked to see some missions exploring some of those aspects, and we go in, we do the collectibles, and then we can just leave, and there's no real reason to stay. So in terms of enjoyment, the main thing which really got me into this game was the story, as you can probably tell, because of its connections to all 3 games, AC3, Black Flag, and Unity. I really enjoyed seeing these. The ending was very interesting. I really like setup games which reveal what has taken place and why these things have taken place, and the basic instigator behind those things. The game felt very familiar, obviously. Graphics were very much the same, gameplay was very much the same, but I enjoyed my time with Black Flag, so it didn't really bug me too much that everything was very similar and laid out the same way in Rogue, and it is sure enough that it doesn't really get to be tiresome or repetitive, so that was kind of a nice feature. And then just the new take on Assassins and Templars. We get to see the views on these guys flipped for the most part, and that was just something that I really found interesting and gave a new perspective on the whole franchise as a whole. That's my review on Assassin's Creed Rogue. Let me know what you thought of it down in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you despise it more than I did? Let me know. Like, fair, comment, and subscribe once again if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on gaming.
Secrets, nor divulge the true nature of our work?
I do.
And to do so from now until death, whatever the cost?
I do.
Then we welcome you into our fold, brother. You are now a Templar, harbinger of a new world. May the Father of Understanding guide us.
May the Father of Understanding guide us.